from our viewers.
All right.
All right. The first one is, since there will likely be a major contact event in 2026 or 2027, and we need to raise our vibration in order to connect with the ETs, does this mean that by 2026 we will have raised our vibration high enough to physically connect with ETs? Is our raising our vibration to a certain level the threshold that will catapult us into this major contact event that you're describing?
While raising your vibration is essential, the event that we are describing in your 2026, 2027 is not the kind of contact event that you may think it is. It will be the beginning of something, the crossing into another era, another level, but it will be for reasons that will not necessarily involve immediate physical contact. Raising your vibration is important to help accelerate into the time when physical contact will be available to you. But the incidents that lead up to this major contact event, while they will be helped by raising your vibration, will not necessarily be for the reasons that you think. We cannot go into too much detail at this time about exactly what causes this event.
Regarding the major contact event foreseen at the time we were just describing, dear Bashar, we would like the ET civilizations involved in this future event to know that we are willing to help at any point during its preparation, if appropriate. We don't wish to be passive, but would be honored to begin joyful interplanetary cooperation in the spirit of beautiful relationships as we journey through the universe together.
Well, all right, but again, follow your passion, follow the formula, raise your vibration. The major contact event will not necessarily be an immediate opportunity for what it is you are talking about, but it will lead to such if you continue along the path of your true self. And the reactions and responses to the major contact event will be observed by many and will determine exactly the schedule, so to speak, the agenda, so to speak, for how open contact may proceed from that point forward.
You've described how direct physical encounters with extraterrestrial beings like yourself and others of higher vibration can cause psychic shock if the person meeting them hasn't raised their vibration enough. As some humans raise their vibration by following their passion, can something similar happen between those humans of higher vibration and other humans whose vibration is not as high? Or would that manifest directly due to the flavor of vibrations here on Earth?
Yes, it'll be somewhat different, although you may experience the difference more in the direction of people not necessarily associating with each other anymore if they are in fear of examining themselves, in fear of being aware of the different negative or fear-based belief systems within themselves. It is possible that humans of higher vibration may coax those fear-based beliefs closer to the surface, but because you are all on Earth, everyone still has the idea of a choice to avoid or ignore those that they may be afraid to face because it reminds them of things that they may not want to look at within themselves. So while it is possible that the higher vibration may coax people to look at themselves on Earth, it is a little bit different in that they have the choice to move away, walk away, ignore that vibration. So it will not be identical to the effect that would happen if you were, for example, to meet one of us.
Okay, thank you. Just as you and a number of Earth futurists have expressed the need for us to realize that we are part of nature rather than separate from it, I'm curious about what events would lead to that awakening and a transition to an Earth where that is the case. Does open contact, for example, contribute to that, and how?
Of course, open contact would contribute to your understanding of your expression as nature because it is built into the vibration of many extraterrestrial species to understand themselves that way as well. So that vibration is part of the formula of the frequency you would experience from all of us because we understand ourselves as expressions of nature. Therefore, it comes with the package, so to speak, that you would begin to face things within yourself that would put you in touch with your expression as nature as well.
Okay. And how will universities in particular change after first contact?
Well, obviously, there will be more discussion, more exploration of the idea that you are not alone in the universe. There will be courses that will begin to teach you about the different extraterrestrial species that would be appropriate for you to experience. There will be deeper understandings of certain ideas in the past that will come into the present again, because certain knowledge has been, shall we say, lost over time that will be reclaimed, regained, and re-explored. There will be many different kinds of investigations into your own nature as well as the nature of the extraterrestrials that you will be experiencing in open contact. Plus, you may allow different techniques of teaching to occur in your universities and other levels of schooling that will be more reflective of interactive experiences based on the way that extraterrestrials may explain to you, as we have explained to you from time to time, how it is we learn things, how it is we teach things, more by interactive experience. Practice for dealing with civilizations like yours that do make negative choices and fear-based choices. And for that purpose, we might explore it, but we understand it's not actually the choice that is a life choice for an individual. It would only be a temporary expression for a positive purpose of instruction and education.
And since humans may have some trepidations about ETs, the idea that ET civilizations, many of them, functioning at the same level as yours would be similar that way, that there's nothing to fear from ET civilizations that function above a certain frequency.
Correct.
Essentially.
Yes, because it simply doesn't go hand in hand with that frequency.
Is there any that we know of that function at like a lower frequency, like the Pleiadians or the gray? Well, the grays don't exist now, so
Yes, but the idea of the Greys, as they are weaning out, becoming the hybrid civilization, is again, remember, they're not true extraterrestrials. They're mutated humans from a parallel Earth. So in that sense, they almost don't count.
I see.
That's why you can interact with them.
So just to get really specific, like what frequency level do most of these ET civilizations that we're hearing about, like the Pleiadians or others, what
High
frequency?
enough. We're not going to give you numbers.
Okay, but they're high enough that we don't have to be concerned about them doing something negative to us.
No. There is no civilization you are interacting with other than a random visitation here and there by beings that may be of a slightly lower frequency, but there is nothing you're interacting with on your planet that you actually need to be afraid of.
That's wonderful. This one person is writing in that there are more and more films coming out focused on the idea of open contact, such as one Pixar film which came out, it's coming out next year, Elio, similar to Ely. While you explain that that means the reflection between us, this film is supposed to be about a boy who gets transported to the other side of the universe to be an Earth ambassador to other societies throughout the universe.
Yes.
Can you comment on this collective manifestation?
Well, as we have said, all of your art usually reflects shifts in your consciousness. So because you are now more open to exploring the idea of open contact, obviously your art is going to reflect that in a variety of ways. It has been doing so for quite some time. You have your Star Trek and things like that that have been showing that the collective consciousness of your world is preparing itself to be able to have open contact with extraterrestrial species. So you're bound to see more of this as you get closer to the idea of open contact being a real experience for you on a daily basis.
It's just wonderful.
It is full of wonder.
What? Excuse me?
It is full of wonder, yes. Wonderful.
Really, it's wonder. I mean, just the idea that our generation is the one that gets to experience this first contact is amazing.
Well, all the generations that exist on your planet. And one of the reasons that that upcoming film depicts a young child is because the children are a different species. And to them, the idea of contact with extraterrestrials will be part of their daily routine eventually and will not be considered unusual.
Well, Earth has come a long way. Let's just say that.
The Earth you're on now has always been this way. Remember that you're shifting constantly.
Right. Fascinating. So what is the first thing a Sasani child is taught?
Unconditional love. That it is the vibration of existence itself, and to align and match with that. All else falls into place through pure synchronism.
Okay. And you say that approximately 5% of you comes through Daryl when he's channeling.
Energetically, yes.
Does that mean that we only get 5% of the fullness of your answers to the questions? And this is because we can only resonate with 5% of you?
No, that's a slightly different thing. The amount of information you do get from us does fluctuate in percentage from time to time based on what it is we perceive you can process. But the idea that only about 5 to 10% of my energy comes through Darrow doesn't necessarily have a basis for what the percentages of the amount of information we give you when asked specific questions. It will fluctuate on a different way, in a different scale.
Okay. And this person wants to know how we can help our loved ones, everyone awake or not, to get on the right train.
You can only share with them what it is you believe will help them. That's all you can do. Whatever it is they choose to do with that information is none of your business, as we have said many times. So that's the best you can do, is just give them the option, give them the opportunity to examine and explore and think about the idea of other paths they could take, other options they could choose, other choices they can make. That's it. And be a living example of making those choices yourself so they can see in you, living in you, the effect of having made those positive choices. It's the best way to entice them to make those positive choices on their own. But again, you cannot expect or insist that they must, because you don't know what their path is. You don't know what it is they need to explore. So it's none of your business what they choose to do with the information you share. But sharing that information and living as an example of that information is the best you can do.
And when you noted that in 2012 there was a big split and the path that we could take, I was wondering if we were all on the same path. This is what this person is saying. And if we are here today on this forum, how does that split relate to this split?
As we have said, the splitting prism is still going on. There are many paths, not just 2 or 3. But the idea is that as a general collective group, those that are exploring consciousness, the expansion of consciousness, exploring the idea of the concept of open contact and interacting with us and other beings like us, are in general moving along the same general path, going through the same general versions of Earth to some degree collectively, even though every individual still has their own unique reality. But you can have made agreements to go along with certain groups that are willing to shift to similar Earths over and over in the same way that still contains the idea of the expansion of consciousness and the acceptance of your part of being a galactic family.
And do any of the ET ships have weapons on them?
Not any of ours. We do have what you may call shields, energy shells around the ship that can protect us from various phenomenology, but it's not used in that sense as defense per se in the way that you mean it, because again, through pure synchronism, we don't attract a need to defend ourselves. That's just simply not in our reality.
So since none of the ETs we are interacting with have negative intention towards us, does that mean that none of them have weapons on their ships?
They have things that could be adapted into a form of weaponry to get your attention in a variety of ways, but I wouldn't, again, really call it weaponry. It can simply be that energy can be adapted in the way they use it and the way we use it for various purposes that could act as a demonstration of the power that we have at our disposal and the technology we have at our disposal, but we wouldn't actually ever fashion them into pure weaponry.
Okay. Okay, so going in a little different direction now. One person was wondering how many instances where a miscarriage has occurred does the soul of the infant actually enter the body, or does it wait to see if the body is viable? For instance, her mother miscarried before her birth and before her sister's birth. Were those other instances two distinct soul identities, or were they simply she and her sister waiting for viable bodies?
In a sense, yes, the second idea, but most souls either do wait until the body is viable, or they may dip in to have a certain experience temporarily and then leave. The idea in general is that most souls don't really fully connect to the idea of a new infant until just before birth. They may dip in and out during that time, but they don't really fully commit, and maybe not even for a few years even after birth. Hence the idea of what you call crib death, with no discernible reason. So the idea is that for the most part, most souls do not really commit or connect to a body until just before birth, in general.
Okay, and when you were mentioning that about crib death, they've found that when babies are sleeping with another human being, it helps to regulate their breath, and that can be a preventative for crib death. Is that related to what you're saying there too? I mean, how that
Yes, to some degree, because again, there are agreements that are made that will allow the child to function in the way it needs to function in physical reality, and that may attract an adult to work with the child either through breath or other methodologies to allow the child to really cross the bridge from non-physical into physical reality in a way that it can thrive. So it just depends upon the themes of exploration and the agreements that have been made.
Okay. When a person crosses over into spirit, can you clarify if it's the personality that continues to exist for eternity, or is there some specific, like from one specific life, or does that being...
Yes, there will always be a part of that continues to exist that is representative of the experience of a specific life. Again, similar in analogy to the idea that there will always be knowledge and experience within you from your childhood, even though you're not a child anymore. It never goes away. It's always there and always can be tapped into. So the idea of having a life experience is something that is then simply part of the soul itself. You can simply say the spirit is the specific representation or symbol or reflection of the life experience, and that becomes part of the soul and is always accessible. So yes, it always remains, even though the soul may be bigger and greater, and the oversoul even bigger and greater than that. You never lose anything, and that particular aspect of the being can always be accessed and tapped into from many different sources, including the physical person who may need to interact with that aspect of the greater soul to recognize the being and recognize the person they knew in life. So it's always there. It just becomes part of something bigger, in the same way that your childhood became part of something more experienced as an adult.
And how does that relate to the idea of the independent frames that actually have no motion, and it's the projection of consciousness through them that creates the ongoing time experience with it?
Well, yes, but now you're talking simply about a mechanism by which you have a certain kind of physical experience. What is it you're attempting to relate to what we talked about previously?
In spirit, when the personality still exists, but it's no longer is it
Yes.
living as a spirit, or is it
Everything
was
exists at once, remember? In that sense, the spirit, the personality, the physical being all exist at the same time and can be accessed by the soul from any number of directions. So the idea is that there are frames on every level except the one. Every level, because as soon as there is any experience of division at all, as soon as there is any experience of an other than yourself, then there are frames by definition. It's just that the experience of time and space in those frames is different from level to level.
I don't know who thought this up, but it's pretty amazing.
It just is the nature and structure of existence itself in the way that it must function by definition.
Many people have negative experiences when studying, especially in Asia, this individual is saying. Studying sometimes becomes torture, and children are taught to accept that as their fate. Why do people have a belief that we have to study hard and memorize and to grasp knowledge and technology? How do we free people from this unnatural way of studying? And perhaps you could also share some other ways that we can study so that it's not like that.
All right, well, we have actually explained this many times, but the reason that it seems ensconced in your society to memorize things comes from long ago when you were hunter-gatherers and you needed to memorize certain kinds of hunting paths, certain kinds of places where there might be danger, where there might be food, where you could be taught to understand how to do things in a certain way and memorize those things for your own safety and for your ability to thrive. And it's simply been handed down through the generations for thousands of years that memorizing things like that would actually be to your benefit. And to some degree it can be. But as we have explained several times, the idea of actually creating scenarios in which you can experience things directly, what you may euphemistically refer to as learning on the job, is actually the better way to learn something and instill it within yourselves, because as long as what it is you are needing to learn to thrive in physical reality is adapted to what you are really passionate about, you will retain it. And in fact, you will become excited about learning and you'll absorb information very readily and retain it very readily because it's based on the idea of being taught to you through the auspices of your passion and what excites you, rather than simply suppressing your excitement to learn something in a way that isn't necessarily representative of your passion. So creating simulations, experiences that are interactive and immersive, and teaching you the things that are important in your society that way is what will allow you to have fun doing it and retain it, because you're doing it in the way that you're already excited to learn, by opening up your passion in ways that make it relatable to learn the things that you really need to learn and to know the difference between the things you actually do need to learn and the things you don't need to learn.
So just accepting the idea that we'll need to know what we need to know when we need to know it, as is true for your existence, that can be very natural for us eventually.
Yes, eventually, when you actually learn to rely on pure synchronism. But until then, you can practice the idea of creating imaginary and creative, immersive experiences that allow you to have experiences in a safe way that will teach you what you really need to know to thrive in physical reality without compressing your passion into a box.
And what is the difference between insisting on something and knowing something?
When you know something, you will know the difference between the two. Because insistence still carries with it the idea that you don't actually believe in it yourself. You don't actually know it yourself. You're actually trying to convince yourself of something that may or may not be relative to you. So the idea of knowing is just something that is absolutely known by you as if it is something that you breathe, something that is part of you, something that you know is true and in alignment with who and what you are and what your relationship to existence is. Insistence implies that you don't really buy into the power of the thing you're insisting about. You're not really convinced yourself.
What about when a person feels angry at something that is said to them? How can you manage that anger?
By understanding that what is said to them has nothing to do with them, if that in case is the fact. So the idea, again, as we have given an analogy, is as if a total stranger has come up to you and said something. You don't react because you know that they know nothing about you, and therefore what they're saying to you has more to do with their issues and their processes than it has to do with you. They're just using you as a sounding board, projecting their issues onto you. And you know this, so there's no reason to react. Now, you can always look at the advice or the sayings that someone gives you and say, well, is there something here for me? Is there something I need to know about myself that would help me to benefit from and change? But if you understand that what they're saying has nothing to do with you, then why would you react? So you have to look at your own beliefs about why you believe what they're saying is true.
And what's the connection between anger and grief?
Well, again, both to some degree are judgments of a sort that assume certain things that may not be so. So the idea of grief is, again, the definition that something has been lost and you are going into a state of being abandoned, of feeling abandoned in that sense, whether it is true abandonment or not. The idea of anger can be, again, based on your expectations of what you insisted should be and not allowing what is to be what needs to be. So they're loosely connected. And the idea is one is a reaction mostly to things that were insisted on by you, and the other is a reaction to the concept that you have lost something, when in fact no loss has actually happened, if you open up your senses to the fact that things have simply shifted into a different form.
And that translates into a different attitude about change and things that come and go in physical reality, because physical reality is a projection of consciousness.
And a temporary one at that.
So is that sort of our maturation process to understand the nature of the reality that we're in and be more accepting of the coming and going and not suffer so much when we lose an individual, so to speak, or
Yes.
recognize it in a different way?
Yes, but even more so, it's recognizing the nature of the reality that's in you, because you're not in physical reality. It's in you. It's a projection of your consciousness. And when we say projection, we don't even really mean that it is projected outside of you. It's all happening within you. There is no outside. There is no outside. It's all happening in your consciousness, all of it. So it's the reality that's in you.
And this person is saying that sometimes they have negative thoughts and everything, and they get really scared that it's going to manifest. And they just get more and more fearful because they're having negative thoughts and they're afraid they're going to attract it or manifest it. So how can we work with that?
All right, well, you understand it's the fear itself that might attract it, not having the negative idea or perspective. Are they in any way, shape, or form concerned that if they have a positive thought, it might manifest when I don't want it to? It's the same thing. Just having the perspective, just having the observation, just having the awareness that there are thoughts that might be negative isn't enough to manifest them. You have to be afraid that they'll manifest. You have to believe in your belief system that they will manifest, that it's the most likely thing that will happen. But why believe that? Just having the observational thought isn't enough energy to make it manifest unless you're really, truly invested in it doing so. And having deep fear that it might manifest is having a deep investment that you are going to attract it as the most likely scenario. So just look at the idea of positive thoughts. You don't have the same reaction to those. It's equal to the idea of negative thoughts. They're just observations, they're just considerations, they're just thoughts. Remember that as you expand your consciousness, you become more aware of the negative and the positive, not less aware. You experience things less when you don't choose them, But it doesn't mean you're not aware that they're there as choices. You actually become more aware of them as choices. But just being aware that they're choices doesn't make them manifest. You have to invest in them deeply.
So along those lines, if someone has phobia,
Yes.
can you address that idea of changing something like that? Like a negative thought is one thing, but having a very deep fear of
Yes.
some.
All right. Well, again, it can be approached in many different directions. For one thing, you can understand or ask yourself, what does this particular phobia symbolize for you? If it were to happen, what does it symbolize? Does it prevent you from doing something? Does it prevent you from looking within yourself to recognize something that the phobia symbolizes within you as a fear-based belief? What is the actual fear about? It's not usually about the thing itself that symbolizes the phobia. There's usually a deeper meaning, and if you're willing to investigate yourself, you'll usually figure it out and realize that you don't have to be afraid of the symbol that reflects a fear-based belief within you. The symbol is just there to show you that you have this fear-based belief. So, for example, many times people say that they have a fear of heights. Many of them, although some of them might, don't actually have a fear of heights. They have a fear of falling, which means they have a fear of losing control, losing their balance. That's the issue. So if they understand it deeply enough, they can understand how to transform that, because then they can realize that if they simply continue to choose belief systems that allow them to remain in balance, if they believe they're worthy of that and deserving of that, then there is nothing to fear, really. They will always be stable, they will always be in balance, and the phobia itself, in that sense, can fade over time or quickly. But they have to understand the real deep-rooted reality of what it is they actually believe will happen in their core beliefs about why that phobia is bringing it to their attention.
What about like claustrophobia? A lot of people have that.
Well, again, it's about the idea of feeling trapped and limited by your belief systems. Trapped and limited in life, closed in, that you don't have the ability to expand, you don't have the ability to connect, you don't have the ability to reach out, you don't have the ability to see the light that is all around you. You are trapped by the idea that you are in darkness, in an enclosure that doesn't allow you to express your true self.
So when you come across these kinds of fears, what's the antidote thought process that describes how to deal with that? Or as you were
I
explaining,
just gave it to you. I just gave it to you. You have to understand what the phobia represents, and you have to get into the core fear belief about why you're holding on to that. How does it serve you to hold on to that? Look at the motivational mechanism. Remember, you don't choose to experience anything that you don't believe serves you. So if you have a fear-based belief that letting that phobia go will actually be the worst thing you can possibly do, that something even worse than the phobia will happen if you let it go, then you're going to hold on to that phobia because you believe that no matter how uncomfortable it may be, it keeps you safe from something even worse. But you have to have honest self-investigation to figure out what your belief system is telling you about that.
So in a sense, I'm thinking right now about like Natalie Wood, who in childhood almost drowned on a movie set, and then for the rest of her life had a fear of dark water. And then her life was ultimately ended in dark water. Is that what you're describing?
As a simplistic surface example, yes, but there may have been deeper reasons for that experience in her theme of exploration. You can't necessarily completely generalize it in that simplistic form for everyone. One person having that may have it on a very simple level, another person may have a much deeper reason for having those experiences.
Thank you. Yes, the last question then is it synchronicity that the James Webb Space Telescope looks so much like the Essassani crystal that you've described?
We will just leave you with a smile
Okay.
and bid you to now allow yourself to relax, to go into the meditative exercise for becoming a galactic citizen, for allowing yourself to open the gate into a larger world. Relax and enjoy. And above all, just keep breathing. We will now continue with the idea of the gate meditation. So if you will all become relaxed, take a deep breath and let it out. Let go of the cares of the day. Be centered, be yourself, and be present. Continue to breathe deeply. Whatever imagery or sounds you wish to add to this meditation, we will leave up to all of you. But for now, as we have guided you through the metaphorical house of your physical reality, first, in being able to look out through a window and seeing that there are extraterrestrial craft in the skies outside the house, and then moving you to open the doorway to go out into the yard to look up at the sky and see those crafts, to extend your senses, make them sharper, to be able to see what is coming and going all around you that has been heretofore invisible. And now, in this meditation, as you imagine standing in the yard of that house and seeing the gate in the wall or the fence that surrounds the house, we invite you to go to that gate and in your imagination open that gate and step out into the world that surrounds this house. It is a different reality in which you can truly perceive that there are other dimensions, other windows, other gateways, other beings, the coming and going of many different souls, spirits, UFOs, on different dimensional levels. All around you, the sky, the reality is alive with the fluctuations and interactions and connections to different dimensions, different realities, so that you can perceive the comings and goings of different beings in a variety of ways. Shapeshifters, changing, constantly moving, constantly shifting. It is a fluctuating, malleable reality, more like the idea of a dense liquid that has its own ripples and currents within it, that you can follow and align with your vibration to become part of that ocean, that sea of probability. As a drop in the ocean, you are distinct, but you are part of it. This is the outer reality, the true outer reality, the fluid outer reality that exists here and now and is simply a sea of different frequencies that allow you to experience differences in the oneness of all that is. Different vibrations, different reflections, different fluctuations, different abilities, different experiences, all here, all now. Allow yourself to simply relax into this ocean to find the vibration that is most compatible with the true essence of your being, to go with the flow and the current that automatically carries you into this new realm outside the gate of your yard, of your house. Allow yourself to feel free in your immersion, to invite in that which is relevant and germane for you in your contacting of other beings, including spirit guides, including your higher mind, including extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial beings that operate on these levels. Allow yourself to be free to know that everything will happen in perfect timing, and that you are now increasing the probability and the vibration and frequency of the existence of contact, of the experience of contact, of the reality of contact, that which is of service to you, and to that of which you will be of service, in a dance, in a relationship, in a harmonic of sharing, of giving, of receiving, of all that is, in all the expressions that are relevant for you. Open up to these higher vibrational frequencies and let them in. As you choose to participate in this galactic dance with the galactic family of which you belong, to which you belong, as which you belong. For you are equal to all of us, as we are equal to you. We are just different expressions of all that is, in a galactic dance of sharing, of knowingness, of participation, of learning, of discovery, of living and loving, of life itself, in all of its forms. Allow yourself to breathe in the new frequencies and allow your senses to sharpen and extend into more awareness of what is all around you all the time, to whatever degree you are comfortable with. You will not be overwhelmed. Only those things that are relevant for you in timing and in form and expression will happen in your reality, the reality that you deem is true for you, that you deem to share with others in whatever way is true for them. A blending and a mixing and a sharing in a beautiful, beautiful dance, a beautiful relation, a beautiful life, a creative life, a loving life, an artistic life, an expressive life, a discovery life of surprises and gifts that are constantly open to teach you more and more and more about who you truly are. Exercise the power to choose. Open the gate and walk through. And be with us in this new world. And welcome home to your true home, your true spirit of oneness, of love, and uniqueness. Allow yourself to be all that you are, in whatever way is relevant for the expression that you have chosen to experience. Take a deep breath and continue to breathe. And with every breath, come closer and closer and closer to that reality in which we can both experience our mutual love, our mutual existence, our mutual beingness in love and light and laughter. We welcome you home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Pleasant dreams and awaken. Awaken to your new world. Awaken to your true self. Awaken. Do not be afraid. This is just a dream. Sweet dreams.
All you will ever discover in the deepest, darkest, most fearsome abyss.
Very much, Bashar. So
All right, one moment. Speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to say. Adjust your machinery if you need to.
I think it's not working, so I just speak loudly.
Testing.
Hello? Is that working now? Okay. I want to thank you and Alan very much for making this possible for us to be with you at this time.
We thank you also, all of you, for making it possible for us.
It's been very, this isn't what I came to say, but it's been very difficult for me
All right?
being here on this planet.
Yes.
Very, And how can I be in touch more with yourself and consciousnesses like you so that I'm not so isolated and that I have more support?
All right. Well, again, as we said, first of all, it's about getting in touch with your definitions. Stop defining yourself as isolated, because you're not alone.
Right, I'm sorry.
No,
You taught that already.
please, you don't have to apologize.
Okay.
I'm not putting a value judgment on it. Just responding to your statement. You can begin to understand you are not isolated. Understand that all you're experiencing is the experience of isolation. You can't actually be separate or isolated. That's not possible. Again, if it were really possible for you to be truly isolated, truly separate, you wouldn't exist. You are part of existence. You're part of all that is. So what you're experiencing is the experience of isolation. And if it's an experience, it can be changed. And usually it can be changed by getting in touch with what belief systems and definitions you have that allow you to believe you are, in that sense, isolated, and so have an experience of isolation. But before we go into that, the idea really, to answer your question most directly, goes back to the other issue we talked about in terms of following your highest joy, following your highest excitement as best as you can. So my question first and foremost to you is, are you? Why not?
Because I have had the perhaps illusion that I have responsibilities.
In what way does your definition of responsibility prevent you from following your joy? Because it's only your definition that does.
I guess it was my concern about what was going on and trying to...
Can you be more specific?
I know that my words are full of conflict in all of the things that you have said we should let go of. So,
Not should,
okay,
can choose to.
Can choose to let go of.
Yes, it's up to you. There are no shoulds here.
Right.
If you really, really enjoy being miserable, please continue to do so. Please. Please do not stop on my account. I would never want that for you.
What happens if you have problems doing that? How do you just...
You need to get in touch with the definitions that are creating the experience called a problem. Let me explain it to you this way. All humans, without exception, are motivated by one thing and one thing only. This is simply the human psyche, the human personality structure, the consciousness of the physical human being. Your motivations for what you choose are one thing only. You will always, unerringly, automatically, immediately, without question, without hesitation, always move in the direction of what you define as more pleasurable and move away from what you define as more painful. Big key here. Because if you actually keep choosing to do things that are seemingly painful, and know you could be choosing to do other things that you think should be more pleasurable, the question is, why don't you? If you don't, that can only mean one thing. You have a definition about the thing that you are choosing that says it is less painful than the other choice. As painful as it might be, you have a definition that says it's less painful than the other choice. So many people on your planet, when they say, well, yes, I understand, I could be choosing this, and it seems like that would be the more pleasurable thing to do, so why don't I move in that direction? That means, that tells you right then and there, very clearly, that you have a definition, you need to find out what that definition is you've bought into that would be attached to that thing that would make the thing that is more pleasurable actually seem to be the more painful choice than what you're already doing. For example, I understand this is a simplistic example, but perhaps it will illustrate the point because it's a common idea on your planet. Many people, when they are being raised on your planet, are told, you're not really successful unless you make a lot of money. Now, they go, oh, all right, well then I'll make a lot of money. At the same time, they might also be taught, love of money is the root of all evil. Oh, well, what do I do with that? Now I have two completely contradictory belief systems to assimilate. How do I do that? Well, let's just say that for one reason or another, You really bought into the idea that love of money is the root of all evil. Well, if that's what's going on in your unconscious or subconscious mind, and you may not even know that it's there, then anything you do to move toward the idea of making money will automatically be self-sabotaged. Because if the stronger belief is, if I make money, I'm evil, and I don't want to be evil, I will do everything in my power to avoid making money. And that's the circuit you will create. Do you see where we're going with this?
It's your beliefs.
It's totally your beliefs, and the idea is that you have to find out what the definition actually is. Because when you identify it, when you identify what the belief is and see where it's attached in your motivational structure, as soon as it becomes transparent, it's gone. It's gone. It no longer influences you unless there's another belief that says you should keep believing that. And then that's another belief you would need to get in touch with and find out why you would have that. But the basic question is this. If you keep choosing to do things that you say are not pleasant, and you have attached the idea of a definition to it in the way we have just described, what that fundamentally translates into is you're saying that to do something that is not pleasant for you actually serves you better than any other choice you could make. You believe it serves you. If you get in touch with the definition of why you've defined that that is serving you more than any other choice, then it will become transparent how you have attached a definition to it. Once it's transparent what definition you've attached, it will go away. You'll feel the release. You'll feel the aha moment within you. You'll let it go, and will automatically start replacing it with a belief that works for you, and will automatically find yourself being motivated to move in the direction of the thing you prefer because you no longer have a negative belief attached to it.
How do you get in touch with that definition? How do you
By literally asking yourself questions. What would I have to believe is true for me to keep choosing something I don't prefer? You have to ask yourself these questions and take yourself through an honest self-assessment of really using your imagination and your intellect and your emotions, your intelligence, to find out what would I have to believe is true about me relative to this situation for me to choose something that empirically I know is not what I prefer. And when you begin that process of asking those questions, what that belief could possibly be, your imagination will guide you. And you will eventually begin to understand, oh, I must believe this. And you'll again get that aha moment when it feels correct. You'll discover what it is. And as soon as you do, you'll simultaneously feel the release, and you'll simultaneously realize that most likely you've been carrying around other people's baggage. And it doesn't belong to you. These are beliefs that have nothing to do with you, and you can drop them and let them go. And primarily, while you're doing this process, it would be wise and beneficial, if you can, to do it with a sense of lightness, with a sense of adventure, with a sense of exploration, not with a sense of dread. Oh, what am I going to discover about myself? Maybe if I get down there and find out I have this negative belief about myself, I'm going to find out it's actually true. And so you'll avoid it at all costs. No, nothing you will discover about yourself can do anything but serve you become more of who you are. If you look at it with that attitude and approach it in that way, it will be an adventure, not a trial. Not a judgment against yourself. It will be an exploration and a discovery. And that, in and of itself, is exciting. You're going to discover more of who you are. Oh, joy. Can't wait. Bring it on. No matter what fear might come up, invite it in. Fear is a messenger knocking at your door saying, hey, there's a belief system here you're not aware of that's not working for you. I'm bringing it to your attention. Thank you, fear. I love you. And as soon as you treat your fear that way, it will say, I'm turning to joy now. Because you see, you only have one energy. You filter your energy through belief systems, and that generates what you call feelings. That's the direction in which it works. All feelings, all emotions generate from definitions and beliefs first. If you don't believe something to be true, you don't have a feeling about it. If you're walking down the street wearing white socks, someone runs up to you, some crazy person says, I really hate those orange socks you're wearing, you would just sit there and stare blankly and go, well, that's nothing to do with me. Because you don't know how to feel about it because it's not a belief you have, that you're not wearing orange socks. So the idea is similar. If you understand that this belief has nothing to do with you, you will neutralize it emotionally and then choose the belief that you do prefer and allow the emotions that correspond to that belief to be generated within you. But if you have fear, all that's happening is you're getting a sensation that tells you, hey, you're funneling your energy through beliefs that are out of alignment with your true core essential self. There's a distortion here. There's an out of phase belief. And it's the out of phase belief that you're running your energy through that generates that sensation you call anxiety, doubt, and fear. But when you run the very same energy through belief systems that are in harmonious alignment with your true essential core self, that same energy transforms into joy, excitement, love, bliss, passion, creativity. It's the same energy. So when you feel fear, know that you are right in touch with your excitement. You just have to redefine the belief the energy is running through. That's all you have to do. The fear has now put you in touch with a grand opportunity to be aware of the fact you have a belief that's not working for you. That notion in and of itself is exciting because now you're about to discover a new part of yourself you didn't know about before, and that means that when you get through with that process, you're going to be more than you were before, and that's cause for celebration. That's the attitude in which to approach it to allow it to be most effective in a positive way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Does this help?
Very much so. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Does that suffice?
Yeah. May I ask you one more question?
Well, that was a question. So I suppose you can.
Thank you. I have 2 children.
Yes.
I'm concerned about the effect of all this technology and the computers and what seems to be, again, after hearing what you had to say,
yes,
listening to myself is like I feel kind of silly.
That's all right.
Because I realize the limitations of the words and the way that I'm describing
It's
everything.
really just all about what kind of relationship you teach your children to have with these things. It's not about the things themselves.
Well, I have one child that picks programs that I perceive. Again, I know I'm not supposed to do this.
No
okay.
supposed tos.
I did
You can
perceive...
recognize something that might be actually energetically detrimental without judgment value.
Okay. That I perceived, and may I request that this not be moved while I'm talking, please? Okay. Okay. I would really appreciate it if... Yeah, please just leave it like it is. I'll hold it, okay? Thank you. Because having a flying object in front of me while I'm trying to concentrate is a little distracting.
Right. You were talking about your relationship with technology, after all.
Yes, you're absolutely perfect.
Thank you. Synchronicity. You see?
Perfect. Thank you for being my messenger.
Yes.
Oh, kiss it. That'll be better.
Oh, all right.
Maybe that's part of it right there. Maybe that takes care of it. I don't know. In the previous...
The idea is to have a conversation with your child about the consequences of interacting with things that are symbolic of certain kind of energies, and to really enlist the child in that conversation in understanding the preference the child may have for the kind of consequences that go along with dealing with certain kinds of energy.
Well,
does that make sense?
Absolutely. I have one child, though, that becomes like almost addicted to getting on the computer. She goes crazy if she gets disconnected from it, and it becomes this desperate.
All right. Then again, you see,
what is that?
First of all, of course, obviously, what you're getting is the consequence of a foundational relationship between you that's been going on for some time. So it may take a while for you to unwind this and retrace the steps of all the different kinds of belief systems your child has been fed from you. You understand?
Yes.
All right. But you can both go through this journey and this process together. Again, you brought up the perfect example and the perfect word, and remember that we talked about this a moment ago. The idea of what does disconnection mean? And is she really disconnected? It may appear that she's disconnected in one way, but you could have a conversation that begins to allow her to appreciate the idea that she's connected in so many other ways to so many other things you may not have allowed her to be aware of before now. And you can expand her appreciation of the idea of what connection is all about, so that there can be different expressions of it at different times that work harmoniously together, instead of just assuming a narrow definition of, if I'm not connected here, I'm not connected to anything. You follow me? That's one possible approach you could have in a conversation, is begin to examine the definitions of what connection and disconnection really means, and why. What belief system the child has about what that so-called experience of disconnection actually means. When you find out what the child deep down believes is happening to her in that experience of so-called disconnection, you'll begin to get an understanding of why it means so much. And by getting an understanding of why it means so much, you'll be able to help her redefine herself so she doesn't have to react to it in a negative way. You understand?
Yep.
Because you can allow her to understand there are different ways to connect to different things at different times, and that she doesn't have to worry she's going to miss out on something, because you are infinite, eternal beings. What's your hurry? What's your rush? You're connected to everything all the time anyway, in a variety of different ways. And that one symbol that your society says represents a particular kind of connection isn't the only way to make those kinds of connections. But it's an opportunity to get in touch with what belief system she may be holding on to about what that experience means for her, so you can really explore together how to change those definitions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much.
You are very, very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to ask a question? Thank you.
Joe and Safine say hi hi. Oh, all right. They also say hi hi.
Well, we say hi hi to them too.
All right. What about saying hi hi as well?
Hi hi.
Hi hi.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you
That was lovely.
for allowing us to share a portion of our experience of life.
Yes, we're looking forward to more.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I just want to thank
Speak
you.
up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to share.
Sorry. I just want to thank you for acting as a reflection for me.
We thank you for allowing us to do so.
I have a question about instant manifestation.
Instant manifestation, yes.
I know that everything instantly manifested and all through the time delay.
Yes.
But
Time delay, remember, time delay is just an illusion.
Right.
There actually is no such thing as a time delay.
Okay.
There is always instant manifestation, every moment. It's just that what you instantly manifest in the next moment may not appear to look very different than what you were manifesting the moment before. But it is completely different. The way you would then recognize that you're always instantly manifesting is to create the next instant manifestation to look very different from the one before it. That's how you'll tell you're instantly manifesting. That's how instant manifestation would be revealed, but you're already instantly manifesting, but most of you are doing it in such a way that you're creating a sense of flow and continuity in such a slow change appearance that it appears as if there's a time delay when no such thing exists. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So where do you wish to go with this idea from here?
I want to...
Speak up, speak up.
Sorry. I wanted to create a device or a thing that allows instant manifestation.
But you are the device or thing that creates instant manifestation.
I know that, but...
You want to create a reflection, a simulacrum
Yeah.
of that.
It would be an equivalent of the controls of the holodeck.
You may do that if you wish. What is the first thing your imagination tells you as what would be the best way to approach creating such a simulacrum?
It tells me to start getting rid of my belief systems.
No, not getting rid of them, transforming them.
Bypassing them, yeah.
From what to what? Can you pick a specific belief you have now that is not allowing you to do this, and tell us what you would like to transform it into that would allow you to do it?
It would be a simple belief that, we walk around the world and, we interact and we touch a wall and it's there, that kind of belief, whatever that is.
All right. And what kind of a belief can you actually replace it with that would allow you more flexibility and malleability in the illusion of space-time?
Well, I was thinking about beliefs as maybe like a virus. Could I program a belief to be a virus and take out the beliefs in the way?
All right. You can do that.
Okay. The zone, neutral zone that you were talking about,
Yes.
I assume that's a method to get that done?
It is one permission slip that takes advantage of certain strong underlying archetypal common energies for you all. So yes, it might work for you as well. If you wish to apply any specific twist to it in your imagination, feel free to do so, because your imagination knows what it's doing when it does that.
Do you have a practical method you could suggest to me?
Was that not a practical method?
Yeah, it was. Maybe
So what other practical method are you referring to?
more in alignment with my excitement.
Allow yourself to sit in an empty room, and besides the room, have one other object of your choosing in that room. I would suggest that the object be of a homogeneous material. You understand? Not many mixed materials.
Okay.
One homogeneous thing. As you sit in the absolutely empty room with that homogeneous thing, allow yourself to view it in relatively low light, whatever color seems peaceful to you. Have the light behind you so you can't see it, but have it be bright enough just to see the thing. And as you look at that thing, remember what we said about the prime radiant, do you?
No.
All right.
Sorry.
Imagine this first. What your scientists call a subatomic particle. This is just a euphemism, but it will do for this exercise, all right? A subatomic particle. Can you imagine that?
Sort of.
Sort of. All right. Doesn't matter. It's not a precise thing, because, as I said, it's only a euphemism. It's only a symbol. Whichever way you choose to depict it will work. All right?
Okay.
All right. So, do you have the picture of that subatomic particle?
Yeah.
All right. Now, imagine that this subatomic particle has no restrictions, no limitations. It can actually move at infinite speed if it wants to. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
If something can move at infinite speed, that means it can be everywhere at once, correct?
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
That means it could appear to be more than one particle, couldn't it?
Yes.
All right. But you know it's the same particle, yes?
Yes.
All right. That is actually how reality is structured. All of the subatomic particles in you are the same subatomic particle, and they're the same subatomic particle in every single person in the room, and on the planet, and in the universe. The same one particle. Not the same one kind. The literally same one particle makes up everything by being so infinitely fast that it can actually appear to be another particle and another particle and another particle next to itself at the same time. So the trillions upon trillions upon trillions, apparently, of particles are actually the same particle appearing next to itself over and over and over and over again in a geometric relationship not unlike what you are seeing in the holotope diagram. Traces that path on a multitude of dimensions beyond what's represented here, but nevertheless, that's a good slice or shadow of the idea of a higher dimensional form that represents the geometric path that particle is tracing at infinite speed. And every time it crosses itself, every time it crosses its path, it creates the idea of another particle. Now, having said that, the idea is that when you sit in that empty room, aside from that one other object, if you can begin to imagine the particle going back and forth between you and that object, creating all of the particles in your body and all of the particles in that object, and begin to really start to understand and truly comprehend, truly viscerally begin to feel that it actually is the same particle, that you are that object, that object is you. As soon as there becomes no difference between you and that object, you will achieve the state you are looking for, because you will become equal to any other thing you call an object, and there will be no concept of blockage between you. You can become, you can pass through, up, down, it doesn't matter. You can, in that sense, become immaterial to each other because you recognize you are one and the same thing at that moment, and you can trade places in any way, shape, or form you wish. How's that as an exercise?
That could work.
Yes, it could. So play with that and see what happens, all right?
Yeah, I was wondering, is it possible to, instead of do it that way, is it possible to contact a higher consciousness?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Remember, what we have initially said also is that the whole point here is to contact your own higher consciousness as well, because if it's not part of the equation, you actually won't be able to contact another higher consciousness. We wish to tell you all a little secret that we have recently begun to reveal to many of you. You're talking to your higher self right now, but you are allowing us to color it for you with our consciousness to allow you to give yourselves permission to talk to your higher consciousness. You're using us as a simulacrum to give yourself permission to talk to your own higher minds. But your higher mind is who you're actually talking with when you speak with us. So go have fun. Your higher mind will be with you. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Andrew, you good day.
Thank you. We have this kind of idea in our civilization. It's about utopia. It's when everything is perfect and we were trying to build it. And how it's like your civilization doesn't look like...
Our civilization operates on what you would call perfect synchronicity. Everyone is where they need to be, when they need to be there, interacting with perfectly who they need to interact with at exactly the right place and the right time. No one tries to do anything. Everything just happens automatically, like an automatic choreography. We are all in perfect harmony, all in perfect joy, because the only thing that excites us is to do what excites us. And everything that excites us harmonizes perfectly with everything that excites everyone else, and we all come together to do things, and we all split apart to do our own things, exactly when we need to.
So how we come up with these ideas, it's not kind of, it doesn't remind anything like you was talking about, this neutral zone and your civilization.
As each and every one of you learn to validate the individuals that you are, you will start to recognize that unity, complete harmony, is the product of absolute validation of all the individuals within the union. So by each individual becoming more their full self, by acting on their passion, by going into this neutral zone, becoming a fully balanced being, then each individual will begin to work in perfect harmony with every other individual who also does the same. And the more individuals that do that and create that state of being will then create a harmonious world. But you must understand another secret about the idea of changing your world. You actually don't change the world. You just change yourself and shift yourself to a parallel earth that is already representative of the vibration you have changed to. The old Earth is still there. It's just that you're not focused on it anymore. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And small question, like I don't remember any experience like people describing about a lot of with abduction and everything else.
Yes.
Does it mean that I don't have any relatives in other civilization?
It does not mean that. It just may mean that they didn't happen that way.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
You all have relatives in other civilizations for a variety of reasons, but it may not necessarily have taken place that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
All right. And another question, like in the childhood, I always had this, I don't know, memory or idea that like I was brought here for this kind of strange program.
All right, well, maybe you do have relatives that way.
Yeah, it's kind of, I thought maybe it's how you, yeah.
If there is any need for you to remember many of these experiences and interactions, then as your life unfolds by following your passion, you will automatically remember. Remember, you will never miss an appointment that you need to keep. The only way to miss an appointment that you have arranged is by worrying that you will miss the appointment. That's the only way to miss the appointment. Otherwise, if you don't worry that you'll miss the appointment, you cannot miss the appointment. So you will remember everything you need to remember. You will keep every appointment you need to keep by just following your passion. It's an automatically organizing principle. So if there's anything about this you need to remember, it will come to you in whatever way serves you best. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I would like you to speak about phobias.
Phobias. Yes.
Specifically, why does it take the energy away from you to give you a fear about something that you shouldn't be afraid of?
If you are afraid of it, it is an indication of a belief system within you. Every single emotion is an indication of a definition you believe to be true about yourself in relation to the circumstance. So phobias are strong symbols of a definition that is out of alignment with your true self, and it is a sparkling opportunity when you feel the fear to use the fear as an indicator and a guide to find out what that definitional belief is, so that in identifying it, you can transform it. But it almost always has to do with the idea of a belief or a definition about yourself in relationship to something in the circumstance or some circumstance in your life that it symbolizes. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe?
No.
Oh, all right. What about it doesn't make sense?
The way that it controls my higher consciousness, that I'm very passionate about being somewhere else.
You mean you are afraid to be where you are?
Yes.
So much that you wish you were somewhere else. That's not being passionate. That's being anxious.
Okay.
So the idea, again, is that any time a fear comes up, be it the idea of what you might call a quote-unquote normal fear or something on the level of a phobia, it is an indication, and I'll go further this time, it is an indication of a belief or a definition about yourself in relation to some circumstance in your life. That's what a general fear is, an indication of some negative belief about yourself in relation to some circumstance in your life. A phobia, being that it is so much more amplified or magnified, is an indication not only of a negative belief about yourself in relation to some circumstance in your life, it is also an indication of a belief, of the existence of a negative belief that allows you to be addicted to the negative belief about yourself. It's a reinforcer, an amplifying belief that's also negative. That's why it's a phobia. That's why it is so highly amplified. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, nevertheless, still an opportunity to ask the ultimate question in any and all of such circumstances when they crop up. The question being, what would I have to believe is true about myself in relation to some circumstance in my life for me to feel this way about this thing? What does this symbolize to me in my life? When you start asking those kinds of questions in a meditative, quiet state, once you have neutralized the idea, you will start getting answers about what belief system the phobia represents. So the first step is when you feel the fear, all right, be somewhere else, back away, neutralize it, don't put meaning into it, remove the negative meaning. It's just a situation. It's a neutral prop. It's nothing. It means nothing at all. Now then ask the question, what would I have to believe is true in order to have this fear, to have this feeling about some circumstance in my life that this thing represents? When you do that from a neutrally balanced place of meditation and you're quiet and listen for an answer, you will start to hear your higher mind answer you about what the negative belief actually is. You'll start to get a feeling. You'll start to get a picture. You'll start to hear something, or you'll just get a knowingness. Something will just pop into your head, or you'll feel inspired about something. You will get some information. But that's the question. What do I have to believe is true about myself in order to feel the way I do? That's the fundamental question. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Anything
Thank
else?
you. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to talk to the teleconference attendees for just a moment and let them know that if we do have a dropout of our signal, to stay online because we will reconnect you. So thank you all for joining us. Would you like to ask a question? Okay, go ahead and sit here.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day.
It's wonderful to be with you again still.
It is always a joy for us to interact with each and every one of you.
Thanks. I was hoping that you could answer to identify for us what the chemtrails are that have been happening around the planet and whether this...
We will not talk about chemtrails.
Okay.
That data is no longer available from this terminal.
Okay. Otherwise, can you tell us anything of the the man-made genetically manipulated virus, the H1N1 swine flu that apparently is man-made?
That data is no longer available from this terminal.
And then otherwise...
Are you noticing a pattern?
Yes. And, well, third one, and I hope it's not the same response, but the question of the apparently impending compulsory vaccination that is planned for everyone to have.
That data is no longer available through this terminal.
Okay.
Do you know why?
No.
These are all negatively oriented, fear-inducing based belief systems.
Okay.
In this particular time now of our interactions with all of you, we simply cannot expend frequencies and energies in those domains.
So in doing so for us, then they will not exist.
Remember, in the reality of the vibration that you prefer to choose, such things simply would not exist. Therefore, it is pointless to discuss things which are not a part of a reality you say you don't prefer.
Great. Well, thank you.
Do you understand?
Yep, I do. That's wonderful.
We know that to many of you this may seem simplistic, but it is actually quite powerfully profound if you really take the full meaning of this to heart. So thank you for allowing us to reflect the idea of the preferred vibration of the new reality back to you.
Thank you. That's very empowering.
Thank you.